All right, you read the thumbnail to answer the question. Probably not, but I might take next year off. Welcome to Tattoo Tabletop, and as you can see, we have a wider field of view, specifically because I want to show off my new Sons of Horus banner. That's super awesome. I'm super stoked to see it. But so you'll have that now in the background, and so you'll have the Eye of Horus just above my head, constantly watching, which is great. Let me take this off. It's kind of warm, but shout out Army Painter. Dope hat. Anyway, let's get into it. So, you already read the title. You already kind of know what this is about. Let's talk about Adepticon. So, this is my third year technically going to Adepticon, even though the first year I literally spent less than 24 hours, but it was a productive 24 hours. So, it was great. Last year I played in the Age of Sigmar Champs. Did not do well, and there were some complications with that. Enough about that. Let's talk about this year. So, what was I doing this year? Well, this year I specifically was helping Vanguard Tactics run two of their workshops and a first timers GT, the thing that I had helped with LVO just last year. So, how did those go? Well, they went great. It was great to meet everybody. So, for anybody who went to those and is watching this, first and foremost, you were fantastic. I massively appreciate you, and I hope you learned something. It seems like a lot of people had a very positive experience about that, which is fantastic. But let's get into the wider things about Adepticon. We'll go over some pros, some cons, and we'll bundle it all together. I might start with a few cons here and there and end it with the pros so that we can end on a more positive note. So, number one, we got there Wednesday, we got settled in and everything like that. It's pretty much just the Warhammer preview show where there's really not a ton. Otherwise, people are getting their badges and stuff like that. Since I was helping with one of the events, I didn't really register for anything. We eventually got me the badge and got that all squared. Not a big issue. But I did go to the preview, which this was my first year or first time ever going to a Warhammer preview. That was pretty cool. So basically, what they did, just kind of give you a rough idea. I'm wearing said shirt right now. It says Armageddon on it. There we go. But basically, they separated everyone out: green shirt versus red shirt, kind of giving you a brief tease as to what the preview was actually going to look like. You know what? Let's actually zoom in a little bit here. Hold on. There we go. Much better. You still got the Eye of Horus up there, but basically they were sorting this out, and on the back of these shirts it says there is only blank, and in the case of the green shirt, which I chose, there's only wa, and of course in the red shirt there is only war. I sat with some of the people from here, from Minnesota, so shout out to Joe, Brady, Rob, all of you. Great sitting with you. You chose the right side. There is only wa. They had kind of a fun little thing there, kind of interacted with it a little bit, just like, oh, who's from over here? They had some great banter there. The GW presenters did a very good job, and in traditional GW fashion, there were technical difficulties. But again, the two presenters did a good job kind of filling the space in between. But we'll talk a little bit about the previews, but mostly we're here to talk about Adepticon. So obviously they unveiled 11th edition and a couple new things, cool stuff for Kill Team, including the Red Terror, which is really cool, and a new Cadian or a new Astra Militarum kill team for it with like some cloaks and stuff. It's actually kind of dope. It looks kind of fun, and you can play against these big monsters. Really love that. But as far as 11th edition goes, we didn't get much. What we got was objectives are turning into instead of the little circles that we spent a lot of time on, we're going to go to more terrain based objectives. So things that there's going to be physical elements of the board that you travel to control for certain things like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how that develops. They didn't give us a ton to work with, but it does seem that they're wanting to more close the gap between tournament play, like competitive play, and narrative play, which I think could be a very good thing for the game. But again, we will have to find out. The weirdest thing about the entire preview was honestly like this little clip where they showed drawings of Steel Legion, and they said it's about 2 years out. So I think this was kind of an impulse decision to add Steel Legion because people had, I think, a little bit of backlash against what they had said about Steel Legion. Oh, just paint your creek, Steel Legion, blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, cool. I'm stoked for new minis, but also I really hope that the Catachan get refreshed first. They look janky, and they are currently active in the Astra Militarum book. Getting a whole slew of new models. The new Astra Militarum vehicles seemed great. Really enjoyed all that, but we'll just skip on past that. So, previous show aside, let's get into Thursday. Thursday was a busy, busy day. We had, in the case of myself, I got there nice and early, and with the rest of the Vanguard Tactics people, and we started the workshops. So we did the beginner workshop, and then we did the advanced workshop. Met some incredible people. They all were absolutely lovely. Again, if you all are watching this, it was fantastic to meet you, and I hope what I offered helped, as a workshop should. So a lot of cool stuff there. But let's start really getting into it. So for those who don't know, Adepticon, massive convention. Apparently, the reports was about 12,000 people came through Adepticon, which is really cool. It's really cool to see. Specifically, they shifted a lot of the room over, and I'll have some footage that I'll add on the tail end of this if you kind of want to see the little bits of footage that I have recapping a lot of this. But they moved the entirety of Warhammer to the complete end of this large, massive hall. And so the vendors took up a little bit more space. AMG, Legion, Marvel Crisis Protocol, and a couple others there. They all were on the other side. So it's cool to see that they got more expanded. It seems like there was a lot more going on now. And that's really cool to see. So we moved everything over there. But again, for those who don't know, Adepticon is a long day. It can be a very, very long day. You can still hear it in my throat a little bit. I'll talk more about it. I got sick towards the tail end. But you're on your feet a lot. You can try and take some breaks. Obviously, at the tables, they do have chairs. I highly recommend taking advantage of those. But really, your camps fall into a couple different groups, people going to Adepticon. Number one, you have tournament players. They are there to play the games, play the tournaments. You register for all the events. 40K to play 4 games in one day, and my body is like, no. So I'm glad that I was actually helping with Vanguard Tactics, because even if I wanted to play 40K, 4 games is a lot. Shout out to Phil the Glacial Geek. He did it. He's a champ. Marathon man. So you have tournament players. Tournament players are a decent portion of Adepticon. However, there's also number two, I would say. I call them the vendors. Basically, they're the people going shopping. There's a ton of vendors, and a lot of them roll out for Adepticon. You get some new vendors. You've got a lot of good returning vendors, and there are people where you can literally shop for like 2 days. You can literally look at some stuff, and of course, some people do very exclusive releases for Adepticon. Atomic Mass Games did a limited edition Adepticon exclusive Mephisto at their booth, and they had a couple different things. Basically, they had it as kind of like a first come, first serve, but you had to register to purchase it like right away in the morning. I think this was their way to try and mitigate it so that if people couldn't get to Adepticon immediately Wednesday, Thursday, they still had an opportunity to secure themselves that model, which is always good. I actually kind of appreciate that. I was looking at one myself, but with my schedule, it was I just didn't have the chance to like go through, do the registration, and do all that stuff. So I just passed on it. I will live vicariously through other people for that. So number three, of course, you have the hobbyists. Adepticon is great for the hobby. There are a ton of painting classes. There are a ton of open painting areas. There's a ton of painting brands. Again, the vendors. Your hobby is at its absolute peak. And of course, you have Golden Demon. It looks like Golden Demon was on par to pass the amount of entries that they had the year prior, which is cool. There was a little bit of drama associated with some of that, but we're not going to dive into that. Let's be honest. I'm not a great painter, so I'm not going to be the one to be like, oh, I don't think that this. All opinions aside, it seemed to go okay. That was the end of Thursday. Friday was actually kind of an open day. We were doing a few different things. I mostly just roamed, caught up with people. Of course, that's some of my absolute favorite people. I obviously took my obligatory photo with Phil the Glacial Geek. Absolutely incredible person. And I will say this cool moment. There was a lot more British people this year. It was cool to see a lot more people coming from over the pond, as it's called, to come check it out. I saw Mikey from Hellstorm Warm Gaming. Arbiter Ian was over, and he is my personal favorite lore tuber. So Arbiter Ian, if you're watching this, it was absolutely lovely to meet you. We got to talk about all things community, games, and stuff like that. And I obviously got to express my gratitude for his videos and some of the cool stuff he is doing. He was just as lovely as you could imagine. And that was a really, really cool moment because I didn't know that he was going. So just to like walk around and then see him, I was like, I think that's our buddy Ian. So I got to actually meet him, and it was incredible. incredible. A lot more people across. And so for the one major positive I will say for Adepticon is it is the hub for creators. So if there's a content creator that you really like, you really enjoy, depending on like what game it is, whether it's Marvel Crisis Protocol, Warhammer, etc. I think because this was the announcement of 11th edition, there were actually a lot of creators. So you can potentially meet them and say, hey, I like your content, maybe get a picture with them. A lot of them are incredibly friendly, and it's just really cool to see. So Adepticon does have a major pro there. It's the gathering of all the places. And in this case, another thing that I absolutely want to highlight is, of course, I got to catch up with Adrian from Tabletop Titans. Love every single one of the Tabletop Titans. They're all incredible. They were very, very busy because they were promoting their new game, Wildwood. So they've got that coming very, very soon. There's going to be a Kickstarter for it. If you haven't looked it up, go check it out. It's Wildwood, WYLDWOOD. And it was very cool to get to talk to them and catch up to them. Obviously, Adrian, he's a busy, busy guy, so I only got to catch up with him for a little bit, which is unfortunate, but say la vie. I did also get to catch up with the Army Painter people as well. Me and Tim got plenty of good conversations in there. Got to talk with Kat, which is always great. Also caught Sam Lenz, which is always a lovely delight. He had some classes and he was entering stuff in Golden Beam, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch Adam. Busy man, couldn't catch him. I think I saw him once in passing, like a Sasquatch sighting, but it was great to see everybody there. So again, I did get to catch up with everybody that I tried to, but not to the extent that I wanted to. So a little unfortunate, but we'll get there. The other days we'll just kind of speed through here a little bit. You know, we got through all the other days. Let's just go through a couple of the cons, things that might affect you. Whether if you're someone who is actually debating going to Adepticon, obviously take into account what group you fall into there, tournament goer, vendor, hobbyist. You can do all three. There are some decent events where, you have some open play or flex play one day, then you can go check out the vendors the second day, and you can take a painting class somewhere in there. You just got to rearrange your schedule correctly. But if you're looking at it going to Adepticon, what are you looking at? Cost. Adepticon is not cheap. I was able to mitigate a decent amount of my cost just because I stayed with the guys in Vanguard Tactics. They did an Airbnb, and in my case, I was covered for my stay. So that helped a little bit on my end. However, parking is obscene. So if you're booking the Baird Center parking specifically, oftentimes it is $35 a day. So you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you're going there. I'm not great at math, but I know that these two right here is 70, so this is 140. You're going to be paying it in parking. One of my qualms, I was happy to see that it moved from Schaumburg, Chicago to Milwaukee. It moved a little closer, just a little pinch. It needed the space. It really, really did. And the Baird Center is nice. It is decently supported, and there's a good amount of staff, and you can fit vendors in there. However, the thing I kind of told a lot of people as well is you are paying Chicago prices for a Milwaukee stay. So it's not like it's a bad city, Milwaukee, but also there are some things that it just shouldn't charge for. Like one of the little qualms that I had to deal with as well, just specifically in my case for my Airbnb, you had to register for temporary street parking and you got 3 days that were free and that's it. Um, we were not in downtown with our Airbnb. Like we were out a little bit into like a suburb with really bad streets. And I still had to register I could only register for those 3 days. So Saturday to Sunday, I had to drive my car to a parking lot on Saturday, leave it there through Sunday because I only got, one entry and one exit. So I was leaving Sunday. So I needed to do that. So I had to fit what little bits I had left into my backpack and do the best I could with that. A lot of people give Minneapolis a lot of crap. Let me tell you, Minneapolis, it ain't so bad because if you're staying at a house, you can park on the bloody street. So, admittedly, I was a little miffed by that one. Just seeing as I drove there last year, obviously I rode with some friends and they had figured that out, and I had contributed to their parking for that. And things worked out there, but that was a problem I ran into. There were a couple other people that I did talk to that found Airbnbs where they had a driveway or that they were good to just, park and go as they pleased. So just keep that in mind if you are planning that out for Adepticon. So the parking, the cost, the hotels were really expensive for what you got. They did get a little cheaper later on. So I think it's just, the high demand that circulates through. They pump their prices up to, like, oh, you have to stay here. So, and then of course you have to pay for parking even if you're staying at the hotel. It's not factored into it. So again, just cost. Just put in cost as like a big, if you're drawing like a large chart of some kind, maybe make the cost a little bit bigger there. So be prepared for the cost. Also, it's convention food. It's solid. It's expensive as well. That's kind of the price you pay for it. And even if you kind of waddle off to a different part, of town, you're still probably paying a good price as well. You're probably paying a decent amount as well for the food. There's a couple places where you can kind of sneak by and get a good meal for like 12 to 14 bucks, but say la vie. So cost is there. Number two, it is difficult. So unless you wiggle it out in your schedule, let's say you're playing in a tournament, and I talked about this last year's as a con. If you're playing in a tournament, you're probably going to really struggle to get to the vendor hall. You're going to be playing from 8 or 9 in the morning until like 8 or 9 at night. You're going to be playing for that entire time, and it's going to be really hard to get over to the vendor hall because they close at 7, and the staff start closing the walls for the vendor hall at like 5:30. So that was also kind of a weird bit. Obviously, if they close at 7, they close at 7, but they start sliding the partitions across at 5:30, or even I think one day they started like 5. They started just sliding it across, and they're like, "Oh, people don't cross. They're sliding these across." So it's like, "Okay, why?" But whatever. Which is, yeah, it's whatever. So that is one thing to keep in mind as well. So that's why I say that there's a separate group for vendor shopping people, because realistically, if you're participating in one of the other things, it might be a little harder to get there. But again, you can figure it out with your itinerary. It is possible, but it is something I want to draw attention to. Otherwise, as far as my experience goes, this is just specific to me. It doesn't directly apply to you, but take it with the grain of salt that you have, or a pinch, or an entire shaker, whatever. In my case, I on average slept about 2 to 4 hours a night, and not for fun reasons. I didn't go out drinking with friends or anything like that. I really had trouble sleeping in the accommodations that we had. Everybody else, most of the people were completely fine. The British guys, two of them were able to sleep no problem. Didn't have any issues. Two of the others had a little bit of, but they had jet lag, so they had a reason to struggle with it. In my case, my room was just kind of dead silent. I turned on like a white noise machine on my cell phone to try and help. And then my room couldn't really pick a temperature. It was either freezing or it was like boiling hot. It really struggled with even the thermostats and stuff. And there were a few qualms with the Airbnb, but again, that's not a fault. That's not a fault on Adepticon. That's more the accommodation thing, but that's fine. That's different. Um, However, one thing that did happen because of that, excuse me while I just wipe the angst from my eyes. While that Since that did happen, it also meant I got sick. You can kind of hear it a little bit here, and also here if you weren't sure. There you go, just to solidify that I got sick. So I started feeling it a little bit on Friday into Saturday. Saturday, I had a sore throat, and I was like, well, maybe I snored and actually got like a little bit more sleep or something. And then come Sunday, I was cooked. I My throat was just completely blocked up. My nose was stuffed. At a convention, it is important to watch your hygiene, to watch what you eat, get enough vitamin C. Try and take care of yourself as best you can. I did wash my hands a lot while there, and Purelled where I could and stuff like that. Be conscientious of that. You're going to be in a place with like thousands of people. I usually have like a pretty good routine, but I genuinely think if I had slept better or slept more, I probably would have been okay, well rested and such. But unfortunately, it caught me. So what ended up happening is, after day one of the VT First Timers GT on Saturday, Sunday morning, I had to drive back. I let the guys know. They're just like, hey, if you're sick, don't worry, go home and take care of yourself. So I appreciate them for that. But basically, I was able to drive back Sunday morning, which was great. It was good to get home, get some rest. I actually called out sick from work the following day as well, and then it's just kind of been a whirlwind since. So, again, Adepticon. Why do I think I'm going to take a break? Well, there were other extenuating circumstances, other things that contributed to my negative feeling towards Adepticon right now. I think it could be just a bit more personal. If you have been thinking about going to Adepticon, if you're picking one event in the year, the one convention to go to, it's still probably the one I would recommend because you get the widest array of things. I hear Nova is great too. Nova is one that I also want to make. But as far as if you're talking about a proper convention, I would say Adepticon is it. Adepticon is the big one. Tons of vendors, tons of reveals. You get to see new things right away. You're just going to have a bigger experience. And there are a lot more creators that go out to it specifically because of that. So if you're still thinking about it, just do it. I'd say, but again, just keep the cost in mind, plan accordingly for that. Probably find some friends to go with if you have some friends that are interested in doing it. That helps mitigate the cost. It also kind of mitigates the loneliness. If you go by yourself, I mean, there are going to be times where you see a ton of people traveling with big groups and stuff like that, and you'll go and sit in a corner and eat some food and sometimes it can get a little lonely there. I would usually try and find people to talk to, but again, a lot of people that I do talk to were also busy doing their own thing. So I'd say try and find some friends to help mitigate the cost, mitigate the emotional cost as well. Those are things I would recommend, and also just be planful with your schedule. Just know what you're committing to and what you're working on. Because again, if you're playing a ton of games, just brace yourself. It is going to be exhausting, and you are going to get tired. Bring ibuprofen, eat healthy, drink smoothies, like lots of fruit, vegetables, like keep your immune system up because if you do get sick, it is really going to taint your experience. So again, I don't want my experience this year to really taint it. Again, I went last year. I had a good time. I there were still some qualms there, but otherwise, for the most part, you can kind of plan accordingly for it. Because I will just touch on the last thing that I literally just forgot until now. I really need to start writing scripts. I talked to Arbiter Ian about it, about how I need to write scripts. I need to write scripts. One of the other things that I had a little bit of a problem with is some of the Adepticon staff were not the most patient. Again, I get it. There's 12,000 people. They have a lot that they need to do, but some of the people really struggled with some of the things. A good example, I thought one of the days I was helping some of the friends to create content, I thought that they might have been in the vendor hall, and certain people, exhibitors, can get in with the exhibitor pass. I didn't have one because my badge literally just kind of like got haphazardly thrown together. So I went in there like not sure since I hadn't heard from them and pretty much just kind of got the like coldest, just like, I don't care if you're here or if you think your friends are here, get out. Like there was just some really like overly rough just information that could have been like, oh, if your friends were here, we probably still wouldn't have let them in. It's literally just people setting up booths or something like that. That would have been fine. Could have handled that. That was on Friday. Again, I get it. Some people try and walk into the vendor hall early and they're like, hey, no, it's not open until then. But I don't know. Check yourself, I guess. I don't know. So there was that. And then part two was when we were going to do the first timers, we had left some of our stuff. We were supposed to have these two tables. Our workshop was put in the wider hall, which is fine, but it made it really difficult to talk. We probably could have found a room for us somewhere so that we could actually like really communicate and work with people a little bit better in there. But that's fine. We were in the hall. We had left stuff there behind. There was terrain and all that. And when we got there, all of it was moved or there was a bunch of stuff missing. And so we went. So one of the people from Vanguard Tactics, George, went to go talk to somebody. But basically, we kind of got a cold shoulder there too. They're just like, I have no time for you. Okay, I get it. You're stressed. You're probably dealing with some other stuff, but we are another, like Vanguard Tactics is another vendor. We're trying to run it. We're running an event. Our stuff is missing. What happened? And he's like, I moved it over there because you guys didn't clean up. As someone who left from that spot, yeah, we did. We left the terrain because we were going to use it again. and there was no trash or anything like that. I checked through all that, so not sure what happened there, but of course there was Friday, so maybe something happened there. But yeah, so some of the staff were a little rude, but I think that's not necessarily going to affect your direct contact experience. Most of everyone else was very lovely, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. But I would be remiss if I did not include that in there somewhere.
Today's video is sponsored by The Forge for all your hobby nerd needs. Whether it's Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Marvel Crisis Protocol, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Lorcana, and a plethora of board games, The Forge has what you need. The Forge has been my go-to shop, and the inventory has only grown. If there's something you don't see on the shelves, fill out a product request form on their website. Thank you to The Forge for sponsoring this video.
So again, to answer the question, Adepticon, is this my last one? No, probably not. I will probably go again. I don't know if I'll go next year, just based on this year. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish they were in a different spot. Like the Baird Center is really nice. It does have the space for it, but I think there are more costs that they could probably mitigate in a few spots to really kind of help alleviate some of it, or like figure out a bit more with some of the room blocks and stuff like that. But otherwise, I mean, Adepticon is still an incredible experience. It really can. If you're really thinking about going to Adepticon, you haven't been, I would still recommend it. Again, just be planful of the cost. Try and go with some friends, and also just plan out your schedule really nicely, and make sure you leave yourself some time for breaks, for food, stuff like that. Tournaments, they break for lunch, but depending on if one game goes kind of late or something, or you have problems, you'll have 30-ish minutes to eat. You should have an hour, but you might have 30-ish by the time you walk. Try and get things. They did move food a little bit closer to help with some of that, but I mean, there's also hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of players. Those lines could get long. Brace accordingly. So until next time, I've been Tattoo Tabletop. Again, if you like this content, feel free to like, share, subscribe. I massively appreciate it. I do have one thing coming up in development. You might see another channel in the future. I'm about to do a technology test run, a tech run with it, a dry run, to see if I can make sure that it works this coming Monday. So just be posted for all of that. I'll of course share all the details there. Obviously, you can see a lot of this video is highly unedited. I'm filming this as of Thursday to potentially be released tomorrow. So I'm sorry, I'm still recovering and I just spaced out. Anyway, I've been Tattoo Tabletop. I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, go paint something.